Hey, what's up guys? It's the Burning Abyss here, finally back with another video. I know I got it right that time, last time I messed up on the intro with my name, with the channel name. But anyways, I wanted to, continue. I know it's been like, what, 2 weeks since I posted, but better than 8 months. But yeah, guys, I wanted to continue posting a few more deck profiles that I have that I've been kind of working on and, wanted to use this format. As you guys can see in the title of the video, I haven't actually profiled this deck on my channel at all, so I thought it'd be a good chance, to actually do so. But yeah, I want to profile a Phantom Knight, basically PK Fire with the Adventure engine in it. I know this deck, it used to be like amazing. I think it was 2 years ago now, or about to be 2 years, that Phantom Rage came out. And that's when, the deck was like really good, and then it kind of fell off a little bit. Then when the Adventure stuff got released, it got really good again. But now it's been kind of like, I just feel like it's been power crept. It's still a good deck in my opinion, and it can do a lot of things. But it's just not in the best place in the format because, well, Tearlaments and Kashtira, Kashtira is kind of not a problem anymore because of Reinhardt's banned. But Kashtira was the problem a few months ago. Like, this deck could not play. A lot of decks could not play under a Reinhardt, walking Macrocosmos. And before that, before Kashtira became really dominant, like, Tyr was just way too good. Tyr was just way too broken. And now it's like Kashtira's fallen back, but Tyr kind of surfaced again. So Bystials are still a thing. So Bystials and Tyr, I think, also hurt this deck a lot, since they shuffle your things in the graveyard or they banish your things in the graveyard. And yeah, this deck, I think that's one of the reasons why this deck has not been able to, come back into the game. But yeah, I still think it's a cool deck. I've been trying to, I know kind of how to play because of back in the Phantom Rage era, you had to know how the deck played. So it didn't take too long for me to kind of get used to it, but I just thought I would give you guys my take on the deck for this upcoming meta, since I do think it got a little better, right? Like I said, it was because Reinhardt got banned. But yeah, guys, I guess without further ado, let's just get right into the deck profile. Alright, guys, so let's get started with the deck profile. I'll probably try to fix, well, y'all probably won't notice, but try to fix the lighting a little bit. It's a little bit weird since it's kind of in the morning right now. But let's start with the deck profile. You guys like my little Alice, I guess, kind of card. I use it as a token, for the fan or for the adventure stuff. But anyways, let's get right into it. Of course, for the PK lineup, we got 3 boots, 2 Torn Scales, 2 Ancient Cloak, and then the 1 Stained Greaves and the 1 Ragged Gloves. In this version, I definitely think since the Adventures package takes up a good amount of space, I definitely don't think we have as much room for to fit in a whole bunch of PK cards. But normally I think this has actually worked out pretty well. 3 Boots, just because Boots is like the one that you can still, if you have 2 copies in your hand, you can still play. You can just normal one, special the other. So I definitely think Boots is a 3 of. But Torn Scales, even though Torn Scales I think is the best one in terms of just looking at its effect, it does conflict a little bit with the adventure stuff since you can't use the normal summon monsters effects. So I don't think you necessarily need 3 Torn Scales. So I think 2 is fine. And then of course the Ancient Cloak has always been just good at 2. Stained Greaves is definitely just a 1 of, and same with Ragged Gloves. You don't need multiple copies of those. You just need to resolve their effects like 1 time, and they don't really help that much for the follow-up. So I think those are just fine at 1. But that's it for the PK monsters. Also, because of the adventure stuff, we don't play like too many normal summon monsters like Tour Guide and things like that, so yeah. For the traps, playing 3 Fogblade and 1 Shade Brigandine. I don't have the wings or the sword. If I did, I would probably play the sword. Maybe cut one of the Fogblades. So 2 Fogblades, 1 sword, 1 Shade Brigandine. But, as long as you have like some Fogblades and the Shade, I think, or the Brigandine, I think it's fine. And the Shade Brigandine helps with like the rank 4 plays. And of course, the Fogblade also helps not only with interruption, but it also helps with like the follow-up. We are playing the Burning Abyss package. 1 Seer, 1 Graph, 1 Seer, and then 1 Libic. I tried playing without the Burning Abyss package, and I don't know, man. Like I feel like the Burning Abyss package helps you a lot more to combo. The fact that you're able to normally bring back Cherubini with Seer after you when you go into Rusty, I think that line is just having the extra link too just makes it so much easier to go into things like Appaloosa or like basically like Link fours or all that stuff. So I definitely think that the the Burning Abyss package is necessary. Graph and Seer are obvious. Libic I play because if you draw one of the Burning Abyss monsters, then you can just dump Libic and get it out of your hand, and it also makes it so that you don't have to. Since Libic negates the effects of the monster, you don't have to summon these to the points that Cherubini is pointing to. So you can just summon it wherever, and it won't be destroyed by its own effect. Since it does happen where you'll draw one of the BAs sometimes, Then for the Psychic package, of course, 3 Italy, not once per turn, and 1 Wheeler, 1 Tracker. These are all just extenders that, help you. Basically, you just have to get to Cherubini. You just need 2 level 3s on board to be able to play. So I think that's pretty standard, I think, in most builds that I've seen. And now for the Adventure package, of course, 3 Water Enchantress, 1 Griffin Rider, 3 Right, and the Fateful and Dracoback. I mean, very standard, the 9 card package. Nothing much to say. Of course, it works well with the deck because Enchantress is level 3, so you're able to, use her to go into Cherubini or like as an extender, or of course just setting up the interruption is really nice with Griffin to stop like things like Neighbor, things like that. And then the only hand trap we're playing is 3 Ash Blossom. I feel like hand traps are not that strong right now. They don't have enough impact a lot of the time. So I didn't want to focus this deck on, on having like 12 hand traps or something like that, or 10 hand traps. Ash is just the most generic one that covers the most decks. Like, it doesn't matter what deck you're playing. Like, you're most likely going to play a deck, or almost every deck has a way to, something for Ash to negate. And again, some decks, Ash is actually really good. Like, Branded, or some negating the Branded Fusion is really good. But yeah, Ash is the most generic one that covers every deck, so I think maining it is fine. And now for the rest of the go on second cards, we got 3 Droplet, 2 Book of Moon, and 2 Talents. I think Droplet works really well on this deck, since your cards get effects when they're in the graveyard too. Even your trap cards, so I think that's pretty nice. So being able to discard things is not a big deal. And of course, now that Rise Heart is gone, Droplet is better. Book of Moon, of course, it's a solid card that can be used going first or second. I don't think it's necessary as much anymore to play like the Book of Eclipses as well, because I do think that Pearly is gonna see a little bit less play than before. But yeah, I think I thought about putting in another hand trap instead of the Book of Moon. I guess that could be an option, or you could just cut the Book of Moon if you want. The deck is actually 42 cards, so there's 2 extra cards in here. But I didn't feel like, if I cut the Book of Moons, I didn't feel like 8 going second cards was really enough. And plus, I've always liked playing 40 cards for most optimal consistency, but in this deck, what does suck a little bit is that you kind of have 3 bricks. You have the Griffin, the Dracoback, and the Fateful. So 3 is actually a lot. If there was only 1 brick in the deck, then I'd be like, that's fine. 40 still works really well. But with 3 bricks in the deck, I definitely think that upping the count a little bit on your deck above 40 is probably actually better. Just so you have a smaller chance of drawing those bricks, So that's why I decided to play 42, and I wanted to add a few more going second cards because I don't think 8 is enough. So I added the 2 Book of Moon, but this is kind of like the flex spot. So maybe you could do another hand trap. Like maybe if your locals is like hard tier limits, then you can put like some DD Crows or some Bystials, you know. And then Talents, just because this deck is really combo heavy, so you're bound to get hand trapped somewhere. And it's good going second. I mean, if you 1 second, your opponent has a board, you can, if they use an interruption, then you can probably Talent and take or draw or whatever you need to do. So definitely think these cards are all fine. I didn't want to play Talents at 2 or 3 because it's once per turn. Book of Moon is not once per turn, but I didn't want to up the count too much. And the last 2 cards, power spells, is just Rhoda and Foolish Burial. Again, both cards that are really good in this deck. All the PKs are Warrior. And Foolish, just when you can dump Enchanters, you can dump a BA, you can dump a PK, like just to keep playing. So that's it for the main. Like I said, 42 cards. Going into the extra deck, we are playing 1 Link 5, which is the Underworld Goddess. The reason I'm playing her is because this deck, I didn't main like any kaijus or anything, so I definitely think you need a way to out, you know, those tower monsters, those big monsters like Noir or whatever. So I think this is definitely the best way to do it in this deck, because you're able to spam a lot of monsters anyways. So yep, 1 Underworld Goddess, the 2 Link 4s, Access Code, and Appaloosa. Obviously, Access Code is for OT King. Appaloosa is pretty easy to make, especially when you're playing the Burning Abyss package. Being able to bring back the Cherubini just makes it so much easier to go into Appaloosa when you're going first. So I definitely thought it was necessary to play her. And then, okay, the 1 card I'm missing, guys, I forgot to mention this. I am missing 1 card. And it's funny because it's like the most important card in the deck, but I'll just... the Rusty, I don't have it. It's on the way, but I didn't want to wait till I got here, because I'd have to wait like another week before I recorded the video then, and I didn't want to wait that long. But I mean, Rust is on the way. It's a cheap card, so obviously you would play Rusty, you know. And then the other Link 3, I guess I'll pair these 2 up together. The IP package, just IP and Unicorn, of course. I think it's very standard. IP is a card you could definitely go for, and using IP to go into Unicorn or Appaloosa or, you know, or Access Code, like, then it can't be destroyed. That's pretty nice. So I think it's very standard. And then the rest of the Link 2s, of course, the Cherubini and the Dark. Cherubini is an absolute must, of course, and then Dark is just really easy to make in this deck, since everything besides the adventure and the psychic stuff is Dark monsters. So yeah, all pretty standard. And Dark helps you Link Climb or follow up too. Now for the rank 1 monsters, the rank 3s, 1 Levier, and of course 2 Breaksword. Again, I think this is all very standard in PK list. Levier just lets you bring back, and, like, you know, the other PKs that you banish, and basically help you set up for the follow-up. And then Breaksword can be used for multiple things. It can be used to go into a rank 4. It can be used to pop something. It can be used to, you know, basically threaten a Zeus on the line. So that's very, very standard. And then for the rank 4s, so I'm playing the 1 Redoer, and the other card, which might not be very standard, but it is possible to make in this deck, is the 1 Dweller. Since Tier's coming back into the format, I think it was a good idea to find a way to add Dweller into the deck. I mean, it's a little hard to make the Dweller sometimes, but sometimes it's not that hard. So you would just need to use the Shade Brigandine and the Stained Greaves, since you can modify his level to level 4. So, and then Redoer, of course, making it with the Shade Brigandine gives you a trap card as a material, so that's pretty nice too. But yeah, that's what and Redoer kind of helps you play around like evenly matched a little bit. So yeah, the fact that you could make Dweller with Stained Greaves and Shade Brigandine, I think is pretty nice. So I was like, oh, I had 1 slot left that I didn't know what to put in the deck. Since you definitely do need a way to beat tier limits. And then the last 2 cards is just the Zeus package, Downer Zeus. So I think that's pretty standard in an XYZ deck. The one thing that I guess the two flex spots that I say you could definitely, if you didn't want to play the Dweller and these two cards, I would say are the ones that you could take out. I think everything else is actually pretty necessary in the deck or very standard. But if you wanted to, you could take these two cards out and put in like the Raiders 9 and the Arc Rebellion if you want to go that route for the OTK. I just don't have those cards, so I thought these would be the best alternatives in the moment. So yeah, but that's it, guys. That's it for the deck profile. I already explained why I chose 42 cards. That's one of the biggest highlights I wanted to talk to you guys about. I think even going up to like maybe up to 45 cards would actually still be fine because, like I said, 3 bricks in the deck, you really don't want to draw those bricks, so having an extra. So you could add more cards if you wanted to. Show the camera a little bit. But yeah, guys, that's it for the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for a little more content later on, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.